What do you want? I'm in the middle of a podcast. Leave me alone.
This guy who really is, I think, a bad guy. Russell, I think you are a bad guy.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what the truth.
I don't want him knowing where I live.
You can hate Russell, but one thing you cannot take from Russell is his ability to play that game.
I ain't finished playing just yet.
Welcome to the Russell Hantz Show. I would like to welcome Big Jon to the show. Jon is a writer, a business owner, and co-star of a new Ben Stiller movie, Brad's Status. So, what's up with that, man? You're starring with Ben Stiller, same thing. I like Ben Stiller better.
We have a good scene together. I'm actually a friend of the director, and he was the one who kind of turned me on to Survivor. So I used to work for him as an assistant.
The director of this movie?
Yeah. So he kind of threw me in as that's why I was there. So I was happy to stop by and see him. And my brother's the producer of it. So I'm,
Shoot, man.
It's a great film. They shot it in Montreal.
So is Survivor talking about directors and executive producers of this and that, is Survivor a big deal in Hollywood? Would you say a lot of people watch it?
It is. Yeah. No, I'll give you an example. I mean, when I was working for Mike, who directed the movie, no matter what was happening that night when Survivor was on, it was like everything had to stop. And there was no way we would miss an episode. So we would actually watch together when, I didn't really care much about Survivor, to be honest, until your first season.
Mm-hmm.
That got me kind of hooked to see you playing on that level. It would just, we would watch the episodes, and it was just like after watching a great movie or something like that,
right?
You're just kind of
pumped.
You can't sleep at night, or you're just sort of thinking about it. You're wrapping your mind around it. You want to talk to someone about it. So.
Yeah, and you're excited. You're on the edge of your seat. Do you feel yourself in that same type of situation watching this season?
I mean, no. I think my take on it is that this guy Joe is trying to be. At first, it was kind of like, is he going to be a Russell wannabe or maybe a Russell Jr.? And I think he's okay. For me, he's like a Russell Jr. I show some respect to him, but if the last two episodes kind of show that he's not really in control, and he couldn't take it to extra level.
You see,
even though he was trying to, and bringing that kind of energy, which I do think is great for the show.
But you see, we're watching what people think that I was like. When you actually watch me and my seasons, I was calm the entire time. Nobody knew that I was behind the scenes saying all kind of crazy stuff behind the scenes. Nobody knew I was doing what I was doing, being that villain. I never told them, I'm going to be the biggest villain in history, or I'm really good at this game, or this, I never said that. So when we watch it now, we watch people like Joe play, and they're almost try to act like people perceived me to be, when I wasn't even like that. I was so
but I
calm.
think that's why he lost. That's why he lost control of this season. Because I think he was doing that too much, like you're saying. And we can get to that. I really want to hear your thoughts, on the vote later on.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just start off with this season. What is this? I think it's episode 8, I believe. I think it's episode 8.
Episode 8.
We have, and right off the bat, Lauren is working on some whatever she's working on, and she needs a nail. So she goes to the little the nail cubby hole, and all of a sudden there's a clue there, and immediately I'm thinking, and I want to know your point of view as a fan, like they've probably been there for 6 days or so, and all of a sudden it's probably been there, and nobody's seen it. Nobody is working. They're all tired. They're all sitting around camp doing nothing. I say this all the time. People give up in that game without giving up. Like, it's right there. The clue's right there. How come nobody seen it 3 days earlier? You know what I mean? Did you?
I think there's a few of them. There's like a few of them that are being hidden around the camp. It seems.
Yeah, this one probably been there for. If it was an idle clue, then I would have said that it would have. Since Joe played it, they would have re-hid because that's what they do. And since Joe played his idol last episode, then that clue is re-hid somewhere, and you don't hear nobody talking about it. But they do know. Some of the people there know the game, I'm sure, and some of them are probably looking. But I'm wondering. Do you think production put that there, the last second? I think it's been there. I think it's been sitting there, and they just.
I think there was even one that nobody saw. I think they showed a little clip of, in the past few episodes, somebody kind of looking for it, but not being able to find those little clues.
Right. Also, there's probably little advantages all over the place. There seems to be
a lot of these little. There seems to be a lot of these little.
Like I said, advantages to different things.
Little advantages.
That can change everything up.
Guess,
so if your butt's on the line, then all you have to do is find something, some type of advantage, and you can go further.
So, right. So speaking about that, I would love to zero in on my favorite part of the episode, which is that this kind of crazy food reward.
Yeah, because we'll go right to that. This is the first time they actually the guys that won the challenge they go to a food reward, and they actually have a twist in the food reward, and that's never. I don't know if that's ever happened. So they tell them that they have to eat the food one at a time. Big old plate of spaghetti, right. And they got to eat it one at a time.
It's Joe who gets to decide the order, and the people can eat, and they're hidden, so you can eat as much as you want. And the idea is, are you going to eat a whole bunch and be selfish, or are you going to? So I would love to just analyze this part.
Okay,
of it, because
go ahead.
For me, there was a bunch of mistakes being made.
A bunch. I seen it too.
First off, Joe should have, in my opinion. He goes first, doesn't eat any food at all, even though he could eat as much as he wants. Why go last and be the noble one when you go first and you leave and you're like, guess what, guys? I didn't want to eat anything. I think you guys are like, whatever it is. All of a sudden, it looks like a bigger sacrifice. Plus, most importantly, he can search the hell instead of eating.
Yeah.
He should be searching the hell out for clues.
The only downfall from
Why
that.
go last if everybody else is going to have an opportunity?
Well, the only downfall from that, Chrissy would have been telling everybody while he's there eating, he's looking for a clue. He's looking for an idol. So as soon as he come back,
true.
As soon as he come back, they would have been like, "Oh, so did you find anything?" And he would have been, his ass would have been in a crack. You know what I mean?
Fine, you're right. No, maybe he did.
And I guarantee he thought about that before he'd made that decision.
Right.
Because everybody knows there's going to be some sort of clue.
Now, I love this idea of having a clue beyond the plate itself, because it was the first moment when I had this instinct, this urge, that was like, at that point when you see it, there's rules in the game, but there's a lot of flexibility. At that point, I don't care what you do. You smash the plate, you eat the glass. I'm like, just get rid of it.
I don't know why. That plate went past two different people before, was it, who actually?
I think
Ryan,
right?
Yeah, Ryan actually.
But that was my first thought. It's get rid of the plate, destroy it. I mean, there's no one stopping you from just
you don't put a napkin.
Get rid of it. So
it shows you, man. It shows you
the napkin. I'm like, what is this? This is ridiculous.
It shows you the brain waves you're dealing with out there.
That's why I think, for me, Ryan is the number one in my books in terms of overall strategy, overall control, and for him to actually take the plate and just bury it. That's exactly what the first person should have done. And why would Chrissy leave it there saying, well, I hope Ryan finds it? It's like, well, you could tell him about it, but then just get rid of it now.
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
And another thing that really got to me is why. Okay, everybody knows that more than one or two people are going to see the clue. It's been sitting there for the fourth person that came to eat. I think it was the fourth person finally got rid of the plate. So then when he comes back, Ryan comes back, they're sitting there whispering like they, like, hey, like you're not playing in a game called Survivor for $1 million. You're sitting there whispering while Cole is right next to him, knowing exactly what they're talking about. Why can't they whisper out?
Yeah, I mean, this was for me. It was like, I can't explain it, but it was almost like a bunch of kids at this point, like in a schoolyard. Like they weren't. It just became. It kind of devolved into a bit of a mess, And I think, like that's, and then what happens afterwards is that it leads to. I mean, I can't believe that. Who is it? JP goes or Cole. Goes to the bathroom or whatever.
Oh yeah, when they get back to the chat, that's another thing. When they get back, everybody, they got three people. Three people know that it's under the flag. When they get back, and you're probably thinking the same thing what you were about to say. My eyes would have never left under that flag. I wouldn't have turned my back and went to the bathroom, and I would have never did that. That's just crazy. And Ryan knew that.
Like Ryan is the person on the show who I can relate with. He's the one when he says something in an interview, and I think you were like that too during an interview when the person says something and it's what everyone's thinking when they're watching. Yeah. There's an alignment. It's like the person who kind of gets it the most.
Yeah, and
for him to be shocked and say, he's off going to the bathroom. Meanwhile, I'm going to run over there.
Yeah, perfect timing.
And the way that it devolved into
that was amazing. Yeah. He gave him an out.
That was the most energetic.
Yeah, it was.
That part of the show felt a little bit wild and unpredictable and kind of real. It felt real in a way because
it was real.
To have a plate and to not know what to do with it.
Oh, that was real, man. They were, you see, when it comes to that kind of thing, people don't really know me, and they think I'm an aggressive player. I am in some extent, but man, I wouldn't have went in there and started elbowing everybody. I wouldn't have jumped in there. I would have just sat and watched while everybody's digging their grave, because that's what you do when you do things like that. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, that part felt the most real and the most interesting for some reason, because it wasn't like a challenge, it was just something that was happening that people didn't know how to react to. And I think their reactions to it revealed a lot about, where they're at in the game. So the first person, who sits down is JP. He doesn't even think to look at all, for anything. It was just, you can tell so much about how, people reacted. I think Chrissy was smart. She found it, but then she left it for Ryan. And she said that. She's like, I wanted to leave it for Ryan.
Wait, so Chrissy found it first? Did I miss something?
So she was the second. So 3 people found it.
Oh, so you mean left up? Oh, okay. I see. Oh,
yeah.
You're talking about the clue, yeah.
JP sits down, he eats, and he doesn't even think to look.
Right. He's just hungry. He's just hungry.
He's just hungry. He's not really,
Nope.
He's not playing the game.
Nope. And then you have the second, what was that? Chrissy seen it, and then she left it for Ryan, knowing he would find it.
I think Cole is the one who first finds it.
Cole does. Yeah, Cole does find it, but then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, Cole finds it because he's the second to eat. And I'm thinking, hide the plate, dude, because nobody knows now. If he would have hid the plate, then he would have been the only person that would have known. But he don't even hide the plate.
Yeah,
he don't. I don't know what he was thinking. He put a towel over the plate.
I mean, unbelievable. So Devon, sorry, I mixed it up. Devon was the first to go. He's the one who.
He didn't even look.
Was that right? Yeah, because it was his birthday. Remember?
Right,
so,
right. He didn't even look, and then it was
Cole. Who didn't even look for it.
Cole was second,
so anyway,
Chrissy,
Cole,
and then
it was just unbelievable sequence of events. like, and then that led to the scramble and the kind of messiness of it. Like, to see everyone just jumping on each other, digging like animals. It was really, there's something kind of, raw and alive about that stuff. So I think it was good for the show.
No,
and that was my favorite part.
That it's real, man. People are literally fighting their way for $1 million in their mind. In their mind, they can have $1 million under that flag. That's how I used to think. When I first seen that idol in Samoa in the tree, I didn't get it right off the bat. I stepped away, and then I could not stop shaking. Like, I knew how important that idol was, especially because of the way I was playing. I was playing level-headed. I was playing under the radar. And, people, they don't see that because only the way that I'm portrayed now as the biggest villain after the fact. But at that point in time, nobody knew I was being that aggressive. So I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. And I can remember thinking, you know what? Because I could have got it that night, and waited for everybody to go to sleep. But then I started getting too paranoid, thinking, oh, somebody else can get that idol. I got to get it now because that's $1 million in that tree. So I started literally thinking, that's $1 million. That's the game right there. So,
yeah, and I mean,
I went for it
I don't
with
know
everybody
why
standing there.
I don't know why people think of you as, in terms of the villain stuff. I never saw you as a villain. I know it's a great word and people use it. I think if maybe you're an anti-hero, maybe there was something, you were like a complex hero. That's
right.
For me what you were always like a Tony Soprano, someone who's going to look after their people and they're going to do whatever it takes.
That's right. That's a good one.
That kind of loyalty.
I can get down with Tony Soprano. That's for sure. So what we got?
I mean, in terms of, I really want to hear your thoughts on the vote. Now, for me, it was too confusing. I don't really know I don't know exactly what happened in a way. I don't know who voted for who.
Okay, let's talk about the immunity. Let's talk about she finds that challenge, or that advantage. Now, that was extremely confusing to me. Now, I don't know how many people out there were confused. And I just talked to Mike, our producer, and was like, man, I was like, I really don't get it. Because maybe I think so deeply that this just went right over my head. And I'm sure they explained it to her, time and time again. She asked questions, and then she got what it meant. But
so you're talking about Lauren's
I don't understand
which was
like she doesn't she's not able to write a
if
vote.
If she chooses not to vote this time, then she basically will get to vote twice in the future.
Oh, I see. So, but she chose not to vote twice this time, so she got to do that. She had to do that twice.
Right. She couldn't vote at all during this tribal, and because there was 2 votes in the end, she had to.
Oh well, that's really simple. I don't know how I didn't get that. So that's as complicated as it gets. All she has to do is not vote, and then she gets 2 votes later on. Does she have to get the 2 votes in the very next tribal, or does she save them whenever she needs them?
No, I think she just gets 2, and she can use her double vote probably, for the next few episodes, I think.
Yeah, that's a pretty good advantage. That's that kind of advantage could hurt you or help you, because let's say Joe would have got that advantage. Then he would have said, well, I can't not use my vote because it's probably going to be me tonight. Or Desi, they're thinking it may be me tonight, so we need to. There's a different way they would have had to use that. I wonder if she could have gave that advantage to someone else.
That's a good point. Can you somehow? Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you can burden with it, if you could give those type of advantages away, then it would help a lot.
There was an interesting moment when it looked like the fact that she wasn't going to vote was a big deal. That it changed up the whole strategy. That it was a big risk for her not to use the vote in order to gain the future vote.
They tried to act like that.
I think
yeah.
But in the end, it didn't matter. So why? This is my big question for you. and this is just, I mean, I don't know if I can jump straight to the vote,
Yeah.
but it's just, I'm dying to know what you think about why they voted the way they did.
Now, why they voted? You think you want to know why I think they voted Chrissy out?
Why
Ultimately,
not get rid of Joe? Why not get rid of Joe at this
I think
time?
it's a
I didn't
stupid
really get it.
move. I think it's a stupid move. Now, Desi. Desi is an extremely hard athlete. They're worried about Desi winning challenges. They're worried about her making a run, which is not going to happen. People, they worry about that all the time. Ozzy couldn't do it. Nobody ever will just make a run and just win them all. It's just not going to happen. So Desi would have not happened, and they could have voted her out later. What they should have done is get rid of Joe, and then Desi would have been like a chicken running around with her head cut off, not knowing what to do.
Desi's whole strategy was just kind of being with Joe. So why? It didn't make any sense to me. I don't know if something will happen in the next episode that'll somehow make sense of it from someone's point of view. But for me, it was a bit, I guess what they think is that Joe has been neutered because he no longer has.
Well, I'll tell you on the production side.
Kind of harmless.
We'll talk about a little bit on the production side, and you'll get this part. A lot of times you're sitting out there and you're saying to everybody, you just don't see it on camera, you're saying things like, we want to make sure we have a good season. We want a good season. We can't get rid of this person. You'll ask Johnny Fairplay, and he'll say, no, I'm not getting rid of Boston Rob or Russell first. I'm not going to do it because we want a good season. So, and ultimately,
wow.
That's what you do talk about that out there. So, and production wants a good season too. So they might veer something. Now, they do not tell you to vote a certain way, but you can easily be veered to vote a certain way when you're starving to death and you're hungry and you miss home and you take questions as statements. You can, like I tell my, you can easily convince somebody to do something under extreme circumstances. They do it in other countries. They torture people without putting their hands on them. All over the world, they do that. You can do that. So these producers, they're professionals. They know what they're doing. They don't have to say, hey, don't vote out Joe to make you not vote out Joe. You know what I mean? They just know how to.
That's like the game of Survivor on another level. That's the.
It's their game.
The show itself.
Yeah, it's their little game.
Exactly. I never. Yeah, that's something that we don't know about. We don't know about that.
Yeah, but
that's the first logical reason for what I saw. I couldn't. Nothing else really has made sense to me, except that would make sense. So.
Right. No, that's what's happening, and you're not the only ones out there playing Survivor. Jeff, he says this all the time. He's like, I ain't playing this game. This is your game. Sometimes he gets mad at the people at Tribal because they sitting there and nobody's saying nothing, especially in Heroes versus Villains. We're all sitting there being polite and not doing a damn thing on First Tribal, and Jeff's pissed because we're doing what we're supposed to do, because we all know how to play the game. So we're not ruffling any feathers. And Jeff wants feathers ruffled at Tribal Council. And we're not doing it. So he just interrupts everybody and said, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like straight up cussing. And said, and he's like, y'all are storytellers. That's why y'all are here. Y'all are the best that ever played this game. What are y'all doing? And he's like, answer the fucking questions. Like, because we were all so good at the game that we're trying to avoid the question, And you can, just look back at the cast that was on Heroes and Villains, and it's just an amazing group of people, that was out there all at the same time. It's almost like all-star, it's like an all-star group. But so Jeff would do that sometimes, and then he would get to people, and they'd start showing their personalities, and then I would learn things from what people are saying at Tribal. Jeff is his whole job that's his show, that's his baby, that's all he has. So his job is to get things out of people, and that's what he does. He's really good at his job.
Wow. I mean, that's fascinating. In terms of what goes on at Tribal, in terms of this season, there was a few episodes back where Joe apparently was debating whether to keep the idol or to give it to Desi because he wasn't sure who they were voting for. Do you kind of believe him that he scanned their faces and realized that they had voted for him somehow? That he was just protecting himself?
I don't know about that because, look, if he was that good in reading people, then Joe would have not played the idol because they all thought this is why that was confusing to me, and I wouldn't have played it. I know for a fact who I am, and I know this was last episode, that I would not have played that idol. Now, I would have put it around my neck, but I would have never played it because.
I'm going back to the first time when he did play it on himself.
Okay.
And he had told Desi, "I'm going to give it to you, so don't worry." But then he didn't give it to her, and then he said, "Well, the reason I didn't give it to you is because I saw in their faces that they had voted for me, so I had to protect us both by keeping it."
Well, that may be a little bit true, but that's why I'm saying this time. Because if that was the case then last episode, how come he played the idol, but all he had to do when he put it around his neck, all he had to do was watch and wait for people to scramble. If they start scrambling to change their votes, because he thought that they were going to vote for him. That's why he played the idol in the first place. Now, if they're going to vote for him, and then he has the idol, then they would do a lot of scrambling right there at Tribal Council, whispering and looking at each other. And they didn't do none of that. They didn't twitch. They didn't change not an expression. They didn't do anything. And he still played the vote. He still played the idol, which was, I even tweeted to him and was like, "How come you played the idol when nobody was trying to change any votes up?" So obviously the vote wasn't going to be for you. So,
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think you're right. I think he just didn't really know what he was doing. But because of what he's done, somehow it seems to have saved him in the sense that he kind of lost some kind of power, and so now they're kind of ignoring him. I mean, they didn't vote him out when they could have. Maybe they'll do it next episode, but maybe by playing the idol when he was way off, they suddenly felt like he was no longer this kind of mastermind. They don't seem afraid of him. They're clearly not afraid of him, or else they would have gotten rid of him.
Yeah, that's on the outside looking in. That's not the case right here, because you got to see that everybody's completely paranoid 100% of the time. And Joe's the kind of guy that keeps you paranoid. So they don't all of a sudden say, "Oh, Joe's stupid. He can't play the game. He misread everybody. So let's not worry about Joe for now." So what they're making big mistakes though. You get rid of Desi,
but that's the thing is they showed they're more afraid of Desi than Joe. I mean, that's the only way
they did.
If you can vote out one of the two, that's what they decided, and that's what I'm talking about.
That's what they did. That does not make sense now, because they're afraid of athletes more than they're afraid of strategic players, and that's dangerous. You better be afraid of this, because they could have got Desi on their side. They can't get Joe. Joe will flip-flop like a fish out of water to get where he needs to get. Desi, you can keep her for a while on a string. You could keep her where you need her to go, but I don't think that I think they made the wrong decision. I think it was a wrong vote. And when they did it...
So two things. One, who is making that decision? We don't really know. I mean, if you had to... It's not really clear who's making that decision and how they came to it. But
who do you think's making it? Let me see.
I mean, I'm impressed by Ryan.
That's who's making it.
And I think Ryan's
making the decisions. And if Ben thinks he's making the decision...
Ryan's making the decision.
Yeah, 100%. And if Ben thinks he's making it, he's not. Ryan's making it for him. Ryan's in control of that game right now. But then you seen the upcoming episode? You seen they showed the upcoming episode, and they show Ryan telling everybody he has an idol.
Oh, right. He's about to. It looks like he's about to make a mistake.
And then they show Ben saying he has an idol. Like, for some reason, that idol scares people to death. It scares them to death, one way or the other. And what's bad about there's a bunch of good things about an idol. There's a bunch of bad things, but when if I go out there, I went out there the third time I played, they split the votes, and they had the idol. They had the idol in their pocket. They still split the votes because it's that scary. And when you split the votes, that's what's dangerous, because then you only need one or two people. Most of the time, only one person to flip, and then you got it. Only one person. And that's what we was trying to do the third time I played. But, splitting the votes like that is pretty dangerous.
People are especially afraid if somebody has the idol and that person didn't tell them, then it's a pretty clear indication that you're not that person's, first partner. So that's the thing, is when somebody else tells you so-and-so has an idol, you know that the person who might have the idol is not playing the game with you 100%.
Yeah, and you got to see, Joe could go far in a game. It's crazy because even in Heroes and Villains, when I used the idol to save Parvati, we wasn't even merged yet, and I went all the way to the final 3. So, and everybody was gunning for me from the get-go. So, it's a possibility he can get further in that game. It's just,
well, that's why
you can't be cocky like that in people's face. Just can't do it. I never did that. I did it behind the cameras. People say, oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, I did it when I was doing confessionals. I never did that in people's face. You don't do that. You do it behind their back. It's not real life. This is a game for $1 million. You got to play strategic, make strategic moves, not be like, oh, I'm a great player.
You're taking you had a strategy, I guess, especially in the first season, of a kind of deliberate chaos, but it was a secretive one.
Right.
Whereas he's bringing chaos.
Joe's is not secretive. That's why Joe will never get to the final 3 in this game, because his chaos is openly. Mine was behind closed doors, like it's supposed to be. And another thing I wanted to talk about, Cole, it's funny how, the challenges out there are a lot harder than they seem. Not to mention, you could literally see people's heart beating out their chest.
That was, by the way, probably my second favorite detail.
You've seen his heart beating out Ryan's chest. That's because that game is real. When people say, it pisses me off when just random people say, oh, that Survivor's fake. And I'm like, yeah, I lost 60 pounds. You had a beauty queen on my season eating rats. Yeah, it's fake. Just randomly.
I feel like there's got to be some people who think Survivor is not just fake in the sense that it's easy, but there's probably people who think the entire thing is not real. Like the moon, the moon landing never happened.
Right.
And Survivor doesn't exist.
And the world is flat. Those people.
Exactly.
Right.
So for Ryan, and also, what do you think of this weird sub-storyline with him about how he's never had a girlfriend? Like that's been coming up all season long.
I believe that.
This idea that I don't get it.
But it's stupid to talk. So what? They trying to do the Cochran thing with Ryan.
Yeah, like a self-deprecating person.
Right.
And that's sort of, I guess, charming in a way, or likable. Like there's something where you.
I don't know.
Yeah,
they're doing real, but they're doing different things like that. Like they did the Marine thing. Was he? Yeah, Marine, right? He's a Marine, right. And he honestly goes off and probably wanting to fight at that point in time, because it's not in his character to swear on his Marine buddies. And if you wanted to swear on your Marine buddies, then do it. It's a game for $1 million. I'm sure your Marine buddies would be like, hey, man, we understand. Just tell them before you go to the game, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do to win this money. Y'all cool with it? I'll be like, hell yeah, go do what you got to do. So, hey, I'll be the...
Joe, being that was Joe showing he's clever. He understands the psychology of these people and how to push their buttons.
Yeah, and that was pretty good, getting under his skin like that. And he knew that would be the thing that would do it.
At the introduction, they said, you're in the Marine, you're a hero. And he said, guys, I'm just doing my job. And it was impressive and surprising that he was like, wow, he's not making, but now it's coming out that, of course, it's not that simple that you're just doing your job. It has this big effect.
Right.
But I was
definitely
moved by some of his, when he was talking about it, I think, you can't help but get emotional and kind of tear up a little for what he went through.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy that they did that episode like right now, because right now we're dealing with, which we're not going to get off topic from Survivor, but they're dealing with this stuff with, the NFL kneeling during the national anthem, different things like that. So this episode probably hit a lot of people, pretty deep, because it's, they go through some real stuff over there. That Survivor's just a game for him. It's
yeah. I thought it was great when he said, it's not for me. There's the game. There's everything else. There's my family, but there's something above that, and that's, he had this, something about the veterans and honoring them that was clearly important to him.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you flip that, and Joe is saying, "You've been disrespecting." You just make that up.
Right.
I mean, that was unbelievable timing.
Well, he may have done that on purpose, that timing, and because he's just trying to get under people's skin. And as soon as he knew, because I think that Joe really thought that he swore on the Marine. He probably heard it along the way somewhere that we didn't hear, and so he thought,
he kind of lucked into that. He didn't just come up with that out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah, he may have heard it somewhere, so he went ahead and said it. When he seen the reaction from Ben, then he egged it on. Then he was like pushing the buttons. So, what do you think about Cole, though? At first, I didn't like Cole at all until this episode. When he actually, dude, when you pull deep like that, you pull deep and you win when you have to win. That's pretty impressive stuff. It shows you. It shows you a lot. When your ass is on the line, you're more competitive. You're more focused.
Yeah, I think that's always impressive, and there's some classic examples of that, I guess, throughout the seasons when, at least the way it's edited together, it's like, oh, we're going to vote out so-and-so. And you just know before the immunity challenge, that person has to win, and they can pull it off. So I don't know how much of that is editing, or how much of that is real, but maybe it's, a combination, I guess.
Yeah, so basically at Tribal Council, we have Joe and Ben going at it again. It's almost, I think, half this episode was Joe and Ben going at it. And Desi, she straight up got her shit together. You could tell that girl, she knows, she's very mature, she's very knowledgeable, she's a very smart girl. You could tell the way she was talking, that bringing everything back together and making everything make sense, that might be what scares them, that she's very articulate.
She kind of won, I guess every person wins in a meta way in terms of, do they get a good edit or a bad edit? All the people who got good edits are winners. I mean, they look good. Desi's someone who came across, like you said, as really an impressive, likable, great person, great character.
I could see how she won, because I've judged pageants, and a lot of people look down on pageants. And man, these girls are smart. Most of the American system pageant girls, they have to go through different stages, and one of them is an interview stage. And I could see Desi immediately when she was talking. I see how she won her pageants, because her interviews were probably on point, because she had, she was able to, there's no way if she would have been in the top 3 or 2, she would have won that game. I really think so.
Right. So let's get rid of her, but let's just do it after we get rid of
Right.
Joe.
No, I think it was a wrong move, too. I think they should have got rid of Joe. And so they vote. It's a tie vote. And first of all, Laura, she drops her little, she puts her clue in her bra area, and then she drops the empty vote with nothing on it in the box. So when they start reading off the votes, I thought it was funny watching everybody's face, because I've been there. That's why I think it's hilarious, because I've been there and I'm counting the votes in my mind as they're reading it. Every single person up there is mathematically in tune to what's going on, I promise you. So when these votes are read, they're like, wait, they're missing, what's going on? I'm missing a vote. A vote's missed. You know, where's one? I would have been like, Jeff, you're missing a vote. I would have said it out loud. Somebody's missing, because you see their faces, like a confused face, especially Joe's. He's like, and I'm wondering,
was he confused by who was voting for who, or
you have a long delay during the votes, way too long of a delay, if you ask me, Jeff. They go back and then they sit back there for 45 minutes, man, getting the votes together. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like every time. So they're staying back there forever, and they come back. So while they're sitting back there, you're sitting there for 45 minutes thinking, what just happened? That's not right. A vote's missing. So you're talking.
Well, maybe, I mean, we have to see. Maybe that'll come up, because I think she does end up telling people. Maybe that'll make sense of it.
No, but at this point they didn't know.
Or maybe they do. Okay, I didn't sit there counting the votes.
Well, she
did they make
didn't
a dummy
vote.
vote. Did they just throw in? Maybe they just threw in a random name.
No,
they knew that wouldn't matter or something.
They won't do that.
Okay.
So they read off every single name, and one name was missing. And I promise you, while Jeff was away for the second vote, they were all. I promise you that production had to keep telling them to shut up, because they don't like them to talk without the cameras rolling. So when Jeff goes away, they have it's like, it's weird, man. It's weird when it's happening. You know it's a game, but they treat you like little children. So when Jeff walks away and he does his thing for 45 minutes, they have 3 people that walk and just stand in front of you and stand there with their hands like they're security guard, like they're Secret Service, and they're standing there looking at you. One in the middle, one on both ends, or depending on how big the tribal council is. And if you talk, they say, "Hey, no talking," and then they get back into the position. It's weird. So they get their little people that gets in their position, and I can guarantee you they were like, "Somebody didn't vote. What happened? Yeah, shut up. Don't talk." That's how that shit goes down. They had to tell Boston Rob that all the time. The dude wouldn't follow the rules. I had to look, and I'm the one that did. I looked at him, I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. Like, let them do their job. Just shut up. Because he would always try to talk and get his point across without the cameras rolling. Like one time, he wanted me to follow him to this area. The cameras weren't even rolling. It was just me and him. And he's like, you're going to be my Amber, but without the cuddling. I'm like, I ain't gonna be your Amber, boy, because that's when you heard me say, this dude has no clue who he's dealing with. And then when he votes me out, he puts my name up and he says, welcome to the big leagues. Yeah. I was like, well, you don't ever underestimate anyone in that game. And the thing is, you can underestimate people like when I played. Yeah, I played the first time. They didn't get to see my season the second time. I played again. But they underestimated me because they never seen me play. But they should know better than that. They should know better not to underestimate me. The thing is, with Joe, you're not going to underestimate him because he's all out in the open. That's why Joe won't go. He won't go to the end of the game because he's playing openly. Aggressive. I didn't do that.
By the way, I just thought of I wish in your third season they had influenced people not to vote for you. I mean, I don't even remember what happened after you were gone. The energy deflated.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I didn't watch it either. It was one of the worst seasons I hear. But Rob got his trophy, man. They gave the Golden Boy his trophy, so he got what he wanted. So they revote. Let's get back to the revote, and then when they revote, then Desi goes home, and that's when I think that everybody's a little confused because everybody thought that Joe was going to go home, and then again, the votes are missing another vote. So again, you see Joe, and if you have it recorded, just look back to that area, and you just see Joe confused as fuck. He does not know what's going on at this point. He knows that votes are missing. I would think something shady's going on. I'd be like, Jeff, where's the other vote? I would be openly about it.
But don't you think he's confused why they haven't also voted him out? I mean, because he sees himself as a huge threat, and he expects other people to see him that way as well. It's almost like
he wants it. Yeah, he wants that, which is not a smart. He calls himself a smart player, and I know he listens to the show. So Joe, that's not a smart move. You might make smart moves in the game. That's a mistake. You don't go out there being all aggressive and them thinking that you're a great game player. Yeah, I'm a good game player. You said it out loud just now during Tribal Council that you're a good game player. Why would you do that? You know what I would say? I suck at this game. I suck at challenges. I suck. So, and I promise you, I'm not going to win a damn challenge. Like Desi winning them challenges, almost winning the second challenge in a row.
You think that made her obviously a bigger?
Oh yes.
Bigger threat.
She shouldn't have won a thing. She would have went for it. Would have been Joe if she wouldn't have won. So people want to win. They don't want to go out there. Tony didn't win one challenge. Sandra didn't win one challenge. 2 wins. 2 wins. Survivor wins. She didn't win one challenge. So you want to go out there and you want to show your family you're going to win. You want to have that great episode where you win a challenge. All your boys are around, So you want to do that. That's why you want to win. But you got to remember, it's a game for $1 million. If you win 2 challenges, if you merge and you win 2 in a row or 3 in a row, you're gone. You're good as toast. So why? You're playing the game. You got to play the game for real.
Do you think there's any chance that because Joe is so annoying to everyone that they do start to see him as less of a threat?
I don't think there's a chance, man.
You know what I mean? They don't take him seriously.
One thing in that game, another thing I learned is when they set their mind to something, it's very, very, very difficult for them to sway them otherwise. It's hard to do. That's why when somebody wants to get rid of you, if you keep hearing somebody say your name, you make sure you get rid of that person and keep saying your name. Rob kept saying my name. And I said, why does he keep saying my name? I'm trying to win challenges here. And then that's when Coach was like, I know you're a better man for doing it. I'm like, man, I can't keep him around. He's going to eventually influence my own team to get rid of me. So that's what happens. And Joe is as good as gone. I don't know what happens
so
either.
What do you do?
I have no spoilers.
I
don't have no spoilers. I have nothing. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you he's good as gone because I know the game. His best move at this point is to shut the fuck up, sit there and act like that he is given up mentally. That would be his best move, but he's not going to do that. What do you think his best move is?
He seems to be heading a little bit in that direction because he doesn't.
You think he's gonna?
Or does he scramble like crazy?
Do you think he's gonna cower like a dog in a corner?
No, I guess he's gonna just search like crazy for another idol, come up with some kind of scheme. But I mean, they really it's almost like they disrespected him by keeping him in there. they really don't seem. I mean, I
don't
know,
know,
what
man.
else to say about it.
I think that it's just either what I explained earlier, or they just ready to get rid of Desi to get rid of that, so they could win some challenges. Because she almost won the second one. You know, she could have easily won 3 or 4 in a row and scared everybody. You know, so they just see her as a physical threat. But I think it's what I was talking about earlier, that it's more of a production thing. You know, that's what I would think.
So going forward, we did see a little sneak peek of next episode. In theory, Ryan would be losing some of his power because people are gonna. I don't know if I believe that 100%.
Right, right.
But what do you think of Mike, the doctor?
I think he's quiet. I think he can go really far in the game because he even knew that when Ben went up to him and told him to switch his vote, he knew something was up. So, but he's playing, a little on the download, I think, and I think that sooner or later, once they get rid of Joe, and they get rid of a few, maybe somebody on their side, or some crazy stuff happens, and he's still there, then somebody might grab a hold to him and use him as a vote, and then all of a sudden you see him in the final 5. You know, I could easily see him in the final 5.
He's like a true Cochran character. That's the thing with Ryan, is
right.
that he's playing it off as a Cochran, but I don't really.
Yeah,
see him that way,
Ryan's definitely more of the. No, I think that Mike, the doctor, is more of the Cochran than Ryan is. I think they're just not showing it. I think that he's more out of his element. I think they just want us to.
Yeah, and
they want
showed
us
him,
to do.
Like when he caught a little fish, you could tell that it was sort of. You couldn't help but be happy for him. Kind of proud of him.
Then he dropped it in the fire. Right.
But I think his 10-year-old kid was like, he basically gave some, Russell lessons. He's like, you got to just find it. You just got to start searching for idols no matter what.
Right.
He's
right
like my kid said, just go out there.
Well,
that's like Russell, 101.
Yeah, that's what everybody does now. They go out there, they look for idols. If I ever played again, which that's a big if, I would not go look for idols. I would just wait. I would be more like a sniper this time. You know what I mean? I would watch from afar and take out.
You'd let everyone else. I mean, that's the thing, is you do seem to go counter to what the trend is, right? You created that trend.
Yeah,
now we can imagine you going in the other direction.
Right, yeah, I can't go out there. Just think if Russell Hantz plays again, and then I go out there guns a-blazing. I'm gone. Right off the bat. I would scare my own alliance if I went out there guns a-blazing. And I never played.
Third season. What was your mindset for the third season? Was it something like that you were going to play?
No. I went out there guns a-blazing because I didn't know any different. I played 3 times in a year and a half. I didn't comprehend anything. So my big mistake the third time I played was aligning with the girls. Because that was my MO. I should have did something a little different. I don't know. But man, that's we got it all wrapped up in this season, this episode here. Maybe you can come back next episode and we can talk again about it.
All right, Russell. Thanks so much. It's really great. They call me Big John because I'm a big fan of yours.
They call you Big John because you're a fan of mine. Is that why you Big John?
Yes. On this show, they call me Big John.
Okay, tell me where to watch you on the Ben. I just watched the trailer to the Ben Stiller movie.
All right, you got to have eagle eyes. You got to be like a sniper, like you were saying.
Okay, eagle eyes. Okay.
You got to keep your eyes open when they're at Harvard and they're.
You seem like a Harvard guy.
I don't want to have any spoilers. No spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers.
But they're the son has arrived for his interview.
Right, they show that on the. Yeah. Okay.
So when he comes for his interview,
well, who are you in the?
That's when Big John.
Oh, you're Big John in the episode?
No, I'm one of the guys who works for Harvard. I'm one of the guys who works for Harvard.
Oh, can you
It's
say
small.
your
It's
name?
Like
Or did they ever say your
no,
name in
gotta,
there?
You guys gotta watch. You guys gotta go out and watch.
Are you
That's my little plug.
Okay, are you somebody that's a big influence in this movie on how the son gets into Harvard or doesn't get into Harvard? I don't know, because we don't do spoilers here.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
All right, Russell. Thanks again.
All right, man. Well, we'll have you back. It was nice talking to you. Appreciate you coming on the show, though.
All right, take care. Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Become a Patreon and get more content and bonus episodes, including video commentary of every episode of Survivor Samoa, weekly episodes of Whining with Wine, and you can become a Patreon for as low as $5. $5 gets you Russell's Alliance, $10 and you become a game changer, $25 and you're a legend. Go to patreon.com/RussellHance.